Before science had a name for inflammation, before hospitals, antibiotics, or even written history, there was turmeric. Crushed into wounds and stirred into healing tonics, burned in sacred fires. For over 4,000 years, ancient cultures trusted it to fight pain, purify the body, and protect the mind. Now modern science is catching up, and the research is shocking. One spice, thousands of years, dozens of benefits, and it's probably sitting in your kitchen right now. Another week, another discovery. Let's dive in. This week, we're going to talk about turmeric. Turmeric is a bright yellow root from the ginger family. It's been used for centuries as both a spice and a medicine. It's native to South Asia and has been a staple in Indian cooking, rituals, and traditional healing. The active compound curcumin is what gives it its color as well as most of its health power. It's loaded with natural antioxidants, anti-inflammation, and which is now ultimately being studied around the world for its benefits. In simple terms, turmeric is a natural multi-tool full of flavor, color, and healing, all in one root. This week, we are going to take a look at its benefits, giving it a superfood score of A through F in each major category, and round it out at the end for a superfood score that you do not want to miss. First up, we're going to dive into its nutritional density. So a little while ago, I did a video about moringa where I gave a perfect A+ score, comparing moringa to turmeric in similar quantities. The nutritional values: protein, turmeric has 7.8 grams versus moringa's 25. Fiber, 21 grams in turmeric versus 8 for moringa. Iron, 41 milligrams versus 28. Potassium, 2,500 versus 2,000. Calcium, 183 versus 1,300. And vitamin C, 26 versus 180. Overall, in my mind, moringa is still more impressive from a nutritional perspective, but the win does go to turmeric in the case of fiber and potassium. Overall score I'm going to give this is an A-. It is a great plant with a lot of just nutritional benefits that stand on its own. Forget what else it does for you. All right, next up, let's take a look at anti-aging and longevity. So, turmeric has curcumin in it, which has the most impact to really driving these benefits. A call out around curcumin, in particular in turmeric, is it is hard to absorb. And scientists around the world have been finding ways to get it highly absorbable. One of the most easy ways is to take turmeric with black pepper. If you've watched my video on my broth, I take turmeric and black pepper together every day that I take the broth to get that benefit. But there are other benefits or other ways to get that curcumin absorption better, and that really can drive some of these potent side effects. If you don't do that, though, it's still seeping into your body, even just taking a culinary dose, and it will have an impact, so it's worth the effort. Okay, one of the benefits here, as we talked about, is antioxidant power. Comparing turmeric to another highly antioxidant food, oregano, turmeric is about half as antioxidant powerful, which still puts it way higher than something like blueberries, but it is not the absolute antioxidant powerhouse that is possible. The benefits of antioxidants, like I said, can be improved with something paired with it, such as black pepper. What do you get from this? Well, it helps fight free radicals, which we have heard can impact a lot of anti-aging issues. But it also can help with inflammation, which is what turmeric is often known for. So in a study they did, they took a look at turmeric and compared it to a simple anti-inflammation medication like ibuprofen, and found that it actually had similar impacts on inflammation as ibuprofen. And how it does this is, obviously, it's antioxidant benefits, but it also can turn off the KF or NFKB pathways, which are your inflammation triggers in your body that tell you to get inflamed. In addition to this, there's some other benefits. Gut health. Turmeric has been used as a way to calm a gut, help with things like indigestion, diarrhea, things like that. It also helps build that good gut bacteria. And then it is well known for its anti-inflammation. This can be a good solution for people who have chronic arthritis or often joint pain. It is not going to be the absolute magic bullet. It's more of a calm, mild support. But if you're dealing with that every day and you need all the help you can get, turmeric can be a part in your healing. Overall grade here, A. Moving on, let's take a look at heart health. So, we all know that heart disease is the #1 killer. And so any support you get in this, it is worth the consideration. Turmeric can help with blood vessel relaxation. So its anti-inflammation can apply to blood vessels, which can support blood flow. Also, in studies, it has been found to help lower your bad cholesterol and raise your good cholesterol, as well as it can help with blood pressure. Same thing, it can lower your blood pressure a little bit. And in particular, the arteries that can get clogged, if you have curcumin in there and the antioxidant impacts, it can help clear them. This was all demonstrated in a variety of studies. The main note here is it seemed that the impacts were a little bit mild. They were there, but they weren't just like, oh, I cleared the whole arteries. It's like, oh, it just kind of supported clearing the arteries. Overall grade is an A- because of the real, scientifically proven impacts. But from an outside perspective, it is not going to solve your problem if you have heart issues, but it definitely can be part of an overall diet and lifestyle that you're attacking that problem with, and it will help with that overall end result. Now, the real crazy one here is anti-cancer potential. So let's again dive into that next. Curcumin and turmeric in particular have been studied significantly in the lab and in animal studies and have found that the compound curcumin can cause cancer cells to go and kill themselves, which is really hard to do, right? So this is very promising, but it's also in the lab. And in animal studies, to be fair, where they have found that turmeric can cause the cancer to kill itself, as well as prevent it from spreading. In addition to that, curcumin in turmeric has been found to impact polyp growth, which is colon cancer's starting spot. And in the case of certain people that have tons of polyps, they did some studies, and they found that the overall polyp counts in their intestines reduced by 60%, and their sizes went down by about half. These are all great indicators that it can have an impact on colon cancer. And also, in some chemos, where you're doing chemo treatment, they found that with turmeric, they actually were more impactful with turmeric. Now, caution here. Depending on the chemo, that is true. But in other scenarios, it actually made chemo less helpful. So you want to be really careful if you're doing turmeric while treatment to make sure that you are not conflicting with anything. But the end result is real, that it has shown in many cases to have an impact. And if you are, like me, post-colon cancer, you're in remission, you should be taking turmeric, I believe, regularly for just this added hope that it can actually play a part in making sure that that cancer doesn't come back. I personally do. All right, so let's jump into the next one, blood sugar. So we know that many people suffer from type 2 diabetes. It is common, and it's a precursor to many cancers. What does turmeric do to support this? Well, what we have found is turmeric can help prevent diabetes in diabetics. There was a study done where they had a group of pre-diabetics as a placebo group and a group that took turmeric. And what they found after 9 months is the group that didn't take turmeric, 16% of them got diabetes. The group that took turmeric, none of them did. Is this going to solve all problems? No, but it does indicate that it does play a part. In addition, they have done studies and found that the fasting blood sugar was impacted by taking turmeric, as well as your A1C. The way that it does this is with its antioxidant impacts in the bloodstream, it can improve insulin sensitivity. Overall grade, A. It is worth trying if you're dealing with blood sugar related issues. Brain and memory support. This is the one thing that if it comes and gets you, it's over. And there is no drug for it. So the only game here is prevention. What they have found with turmeric is that they have done studies and found that taking turmeric can help you think clearer and remember better. The way they did the study, they took a group, gave them a set of questions, didn't have turmeric, gave them a group set of questions with turmeric, and they found that there was an improvement in remembering and thinking clear. Sharper, faster focus in your brain. How this potentially works behind the scenes is turmeric's curcumin can penetrate the blood-brain barrier and get into your brain. Normally would be a bad thing, but in this case is a good thing because it allows it to introduce its antioxidant and anti-inflammation effects on the brain, helping relax your arteries in the brain and clearing out the plaque or preventing the plaque buildup, which can lead to later brain disease. This is definitely in the prevention category, long-term, but it is shown clinical evidence to actually have real impact, so the overall grade here is an A and an A-, and it is worth your consideration, and it's definitely an added bonus to anyone who takes turmeric regularly. Now, we can't take a look at superfood without considering risks and safety. The reality is if you're taking in culinary doses, there's basically no risk. Millions, billions of people eat it every day, and it is not a known problem. However, if you're taking a more clinically built dose where you are really chasing that curcumin, there is a chance that there can be some impacts, specifically with diabetes medications or blood thinners or chemos. So if you are on medication or are considering taking a refined dose, check with your doctor, do your own research, make sure it doesn't have an impact. The fact that it has an impact means that it actually works, but you also want to be careful to make sure it's not impacting some of the other medications you might be on. All right, it's time. The grand reveal. Let's take a look at its overall superfood score. So for nutritional density, an A-, anti-aging, we gave it an A, heart health, an A-, anti-cancer potential, an A, blood sugar control, A, and brain memory support, an A-, rounding us out with a grand total 9.7 as its grade. I think the takeaway here is it touches all of these things, but it's mostly in a little bit of a mild impact. You should absolutely be eating turmeric. The benefits are there in so many ways, but it's not going to pack the punch that some of the other ones will if you're really worried about one particular one. All right. So today we learned turmeric cools inflammation and tames rogue cells, but the real enemy of healthy aging, free radicals. Next week, I'm going to dive into that topic, learn a little bit about what they are and how our body fights them. It's something I've been seeing a lot as I've been doing this research, and I personally want to learn more. Hopefully you'll join me, and we'll learn about it together. Like, subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts on turmeric, how you might introduce turmeric in your daily life. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. God bless.